I have ketogenic brownies, I have ketogenic cookies, I have ketogenic crepes and like all these snack foods that companies send me to test. And some of them are awesome, like Keto Cookie and Now Foods brand is really good. Like I've been testing their products and they're not keto, but they're very low carb. I don't even know if they're in the UK yet. I didn't even know of them. They connected with me and they're the most impressive array of foods that I have ever seen. And I've been the last couple of weeks I've been experimenting with those foods, checking my ketones, checking my blood glucose, doing some measurements on myself. So it's always kind of fun to kind of experiment. And then I do go out to eat at least like probably twice a week, with my wife. And it's pretty easy for me to get low carb options. Sometimes keto can be a little bit of a stretch. Yeah. But I don't. What I do is on 2 days out of the week, and I try to train heavy, like in the gym 2 days out of the week if I'm not traveling too much. On those 2 days that I train, I will get an extra 500 to 1,000 calories of foods that I normally eat anyway, which could usually just more protein and veggies. So I might back off on the fat a little bit, but kind of satiate myself with some extra protein if I need it, if I'm rebuilding or trying to add a little bit of weight.
Looking at these keto cookies, there's been a huge thing. They've kind of exploded from nothing to very popular, these keto cookies, I think. But it looks like they've actually got quite a lot of carbs in them, like 24 grams of carbs or something.
Yeah, so we're talking net carbs, right? So are the carbs, do they have a glucose or glycemic response?
Does it sugar? Do they sugar?
Yeah, so there's two kind of things that those cookies are made of. So a lot of them are made with like a nut-based flour, and nuts are pretty heavy in fiber. So most of the carbohydrates will be a type of carbohydrate that doesn't get absorbed in the gut. Actually, a lot of the soluble fiber makes its way to the GI tract where their gut microbiome can kind of digest it. And erythritol is a sugar-based alcohol sweetener that causes less GI problems than other kinds of sweeteners. And it's also beneficial for your gut microbiome. So it may be beneficial for, if you have some GI issues. So those two things are kind of make up the carbohydrates. Right. And then they also incorporate a lot of coconut oil and even MCT oil, which can, in a way, kind of artificially elevate your ketone levels because they're what we call ketogenic fats, which means when you eat them, the fat rapidly is transported to your liver and they get broken down so fast, they get burnt so fast, they tend to make ketones. So when you burn fat at a high rate in the liver, that fat can proportionally produce more ketone bodies in your blood and elevate your. So there's like little tricks that you can do and putting these foods together with non-glycemic carbohydrates and the addition of ketogenic types of fats, actually, which make the food kind of palatable too. So it makes it kind of smooth and can increase the palatability of the food. So that's what a lot of food engineers are doing now.
Yeah, so total carbohydrate, I'm just looking at the keto cookies, 21 grams, but total sugars, 1 gram. Yeah. So that's actually the relevant number.
Yeah, and the label tells one story, but what I find, so I test a lot of these foods, and about 20% pass the test. Our test, and those foods make it to my website, ketonutrition.org. Yeah. I've compiled, some of the foods on there that we've actually tested with blood measurements. One of my students too, Andrew Kutnick, is a PhD student of mine. He has type 1 diabetes and actually he thrives on low carb diets. And if there's a food product that comes to us, he has an insulin pump and a Dexcom meter that continuously measures his glucose levels. So I will basically, go to Andrew, hey, I got something for you to test, and he can consume it. And sometimes he consumes like, double doses, like 2 of them, if it's like a Quest bar or something like that, or Keto Cookie. And then we can track his glucose levels, fairly continuously, take some measurement every 5 minutes or so. And then we can look at the glucose to sugar response to that food. And we can also measure ketone levels too with a ketone meter. And, we tend to do this, we vet out, I guess you would say, the foods that are really low carb or really keto. It's actually possible to make some of these foods. The Charlie Foundation, you go to their website and they have really nice recipes where you can, source out the ingredients and buy these things.